and welcome to another episode of our conversations on practical spirituality here at the Hamlin Vision. My name's Mike Jenkins, and joining me today is Archie Cunningham. Welcome, Archie.
Hi, guys. Hi, Mike.
It's great for you to be with us. Archie runs CrossFit Chichester, which he's going to tell us all about in a moment. Now, I myself attend the CrossFit sessions. It's based in Chichester in Lavant. And we're really excited to have Archie talk to us today because in this series on practical spirituality, so far we've had lots of practitioners and therapists and teachers talking about mostly quiet, still, meditative practice. But some of the greatest teachers will tell you that movement and exercise and even just living your life can itself be a meditation. We don't always need to be thinking of it as just sitting completely still. So Archie, I think, is the perfect person to talk to us about that. So welcome, Archie. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Oh, no, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So, so my first question, Archie, is what was it that kind of led you into this work? I mean, you've been doing it for a long time now.
Yeah.
So what was it that first sort of led you into this type of work?
Well, I knew that I always wanted to be in good shape, and I knew that I needed to take care of myself. And I didn't see that there was, at the time, this was kind of back in 2009 onwards, kind of realized the normal gyms weren't really doing it. They weren't doing enough of this sort of training. And I was looking for a place where people were a little bit more like me. They were kind of looking at there was the most up-to-date stuff on nutrition wasn't really kind of widely out there. I wanted to be around people that were sort of making certain choices in that sense. And then I also wanted to look at people that are training in the way that I wanted to be training. And that was really how I sort of came across it. And I thought, well, I saw all these crazy workouts posted online from this site called CrossFit.com. And I thought, well, maybe there's a gym that does CrossFit. And there was one up at the top of Fort Pembroke. It's no longer there.
Oh, right.
It literally was like a room in one of the barracks, sort of up on the floor. You had to sort of go down in sort of semi-underground. It was quite cool. And I got in there. I just thought, wow, this is like it felt like home. It was really weird. And you had rubber matting on the flooring, and they had sort of bumper plates and a pull-ups rig that you wouldn't see anywhere else. It sort of looked like a monkey bar sort of thing. With gymnastics rings, which again at the time I never got a chance to have a go with. And I went up with my brother and we both did it, and we just thought, wow, this is amazing. And I saw it as like a way to keep myself in a similar shape to what I was like when I was playing rugby, but without the injuries, without the contact. And I know it sounds kind of sort of boring, but it really was important because I'd been training my whole life. Always done exercise from when I was about 10 years old. I was aware that I needed to train exercises as opposed to playing sport.
Right.
And so I knew that it was something that I just I had to do, and I had to do this the whole of my life. I remember I'd always been really active, and I always had gone and done workouts wherever I was in the world. So whether I was, I did a ski season when I was 19, and I remember every kind of day I would go out and I would do a kind of workout, sort of on the piste. People would think I was crazy because I'd been running stuff, doing burpees and then lunges and then whatever it was, and then I was kind of basing it off of circuits, and then I worked abroad, and I was sailing a boat across. I was taking a boat across from St. Martin in the Caribbean to Nice, and I was there, and I was getting a bit stir crazy. I was like, I need to work out, so I remember trying to do like push-ups on the deck of this boat that was heeled over, and like doing pull-ups off the boom, and we just wanted to like we just wanted to do. I just wanted to do that kind of stuff and just keep myself in shape,
Mm.
because it worked really hard for it. And from like I remember going to some of the some of the sessions that my old rugby coach had put on, and the hardest thing about going to those sessions was kind of lacing up your boots and thinking how much you were going to suffer in these sessions. But the thing is, it produced such a decent amount of fitness. I was like, I can't afford not to lose this fitness. It hurts so much. I don't want to feel like that again. So
Yeah.
I've always sort of been glutton for punishment and trying to make doing these kind of workouts. Now 13, 14 years in.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Cool. So for those of people who don't know much about what CrossFit is, I think some people probably have heard of it but don't really know what it is. How would you sort of summarize what's different about CrossFit?
So the way that I would say that what is different about it is, imagine that a workout routine that's going to make your daily life easier. So it's going to simulate the kind of exercises that you would do daily, like sitting into a chair and then standing up again. So that big squat.
Right, squat. Yeah.
When you're picking up and carrying your shopping, it's like those activities that we don't really think about.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so if we're going to carry our shopping in, like, let's practice. But like, how much heavy shopping could you carry? And that's kind of the question that we sort of ask, in the gym. It's like, and for how far do you think you could carry it?
Yeah.
It's those kind of questions that we're thinking, because if you don't test yourself in those kind of regions and are challenged on a regular basis, what becomes possible for you is less and less every year that goes by. Yeah. And so by doing those things that by going, well, how many squats can I do, and et cetera, or combining these different exercises, can I do a run and then some squats, or can I it's going to make you all round fitter and also more confident in your body. And especially when you're doing lots of different kind of exercises, which is what we do in the gym. You imagine it's a little bit like play, in terms of there's running, there's jumping, there's pulling, there's pushing, there's crawling, there's all those kind of stuff, but it's designed to be done in a really, really organized and structured way, so that your body's looked after, and you improve all of the these skills, these physical skills, over time. And that's kind of the simplest way, is kind of making daily life easier. So we challenge you in the gym, so life outside it isn't as hard.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah?
It does make sense, and I'd agree with that. And so I've been going along to CrossFit Chichester since I think the summer. I think I joined in the summer with the 6-week program. And one of the things that was really key for me, and this is why I sort of feel it's very much like in the realm of a practical spirituality, because I was in a place in my life where I was really struggling, personally, and I knew that I'd feel better if I lost some weight, if I got fitter. I knew that would make me feel better, but I knew I couldn't do it on my own. So I'd lost weight in the past on my own. I'd become fitter in the past on doing it all on my own, but I just knew that I didn't have the kind of almost emotional resilience to do that. So one of the things that I really like, and I was a member of the gym here in Chichester, one of the cheaper ones, like the 24-hour one. And I would go, but I would never push myself in the way that we're pushed, by the instructors at CrossFit. And so the very fact of having an instructor who, like you say, they plan the session, they also lead it. Plus, they're watching each individual person for where they are struggling, if they're improving. So that kind of, it's like having a group of PE teachers basically, or like your rugby coach. Then of course talk to you, and then I think the real kind of magic, I think for me, was like you say, the nutrition, adding on kind of monitoring of what it is you're eating. So for me, for that challenge in that first 6 weeks, for anyone watching who doesn't know, there's a fairly intense diet, specifically designed for each person's weight and height, and to aid building of muscle, but also encouraging weight loss. And that was sort of the magic bullet for me, because the two combined, obviously, I mean, everybody knows, don't they, theoretically, oh yes, eat less and exercise more. But the two combined with that, regular program of very varied exercise, like you say, lots of kind of high intensity training, and then some cardio, and it's a real mix. And I think, is that where the name CrossFit comes from? Because it's a cross all, disciplines, maybe.
I a whole history lesson on it, but there's lots of resources online about it. I mean, did you find though that combining the nutrition as well at the start, like, really, do you find that really made a difference to like your fitness?
Yes, yeah, hugely. It made a huge difference, yeah.
Because that's the basis of CrossFit. It's probably I should have mentioned is like we have a pyramid where the very base of it is on what you eat, because everything works off of that. So when you eat right, everything else is easier. Sleep better, your energy levels better, it moves better, and your recovery is better. And then you start losing weight. See, it's like a quadruple whammy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that was really key. And of course, then, for anyone who's done that, then after that 6 weeks, if you carry on as I have done, you go regularly, that's just a kind of ever-present, principle, like you say, of CrossFit and of a healthy lifestyle.
Do you find that for you, was it also training the group? Like, how did you find that?
Yeah, exactly.
What did you feel like that was in the beginning, like, first session?
So to begin with, it was tough, because and I think probably lots of people could relate to that, because when you join, you're with people who've maybe been there for a few years, and they're really competent. So that was a little bit difficult to begin with, but then I started to realize, I mean, I used to feel there were times for me personally, I thought, I don't belong here, I can't do this, this is. And I think that's probably fairly common. But then I realized, do you know what, actually, everybody, and it's a fairly sort of obvious realization, but when you recognize this in the heat of the moment, like when you're literally sweating buckets and you feel dreadful, you look around and you see everybody's at their own different level.
Everyone's buckets and feeling dreadful.
Yeah, and everybody's feeling, so even the guys who look like the Hulk, you're like, how the hell are they feeling? But they do, because they're being pushed to the edge of their ability, and those of us who have different limits are being pushed to the edge of ours. So I think the penny dropped then, and I was like, do you know what? And actually at Archie's gym, there are a real range of ages and abilities. There are women in their 60s, there are men in their teens and 20s. There's a whole it's such a range. And that guy who was, the first week I was there, that guy, what's his name? Is he in his 80s or his 70s? The guy.
Well, Julian. I mean, I've got Julian in his 70s. I've got a guy in his 90s who comes. He's coming to train with me. He and his wife. And he's in good shape. Like, for someone in his 90s to be able to squat, walk, he can run, he can jump. That is amazing.
It's impressive, right?
Yeah. And he gets up off the floor. Like, that's one of the most amazing things. Is he can get up and down off the floor with ease.
Right.
Like, how many 90-year-olds we know who would struggle with that?
Yeah. Almost all the ones.
This guy's amazing. But but he's always had that kind of attitude, but he's aware that he needs to keep it up. I think that's the difference. It's like it's very interesting. And he's he's got he's married to a woman who's younger and very encouraging and wants to support him. I think having that support, is really key. I think having people around you that push you.
Yes.
Like, you've got to look after yourself. I mean, that's I mean, do you feel like that's one of the things that you get that's different to like another gym?
Yeah, definitely. That is a big part of it. So because obviously we have a WhatsApp group and connections with each other, outside of the gym. That's really nice too, because like, so if I've not been in for a couple of weeks, then a little message will come through from someone: is everything all right? Are you okay? And that is really important, I think, because you don't get that at a normal gym, and you just feel part of a family a bit more, which I think, um, pretty much everyone who I've spoken to who goes to CrossFit, they feel that. It feels like being part of a friendship group and family, and that's a big thing. That's important for life anyway. Having
I mean, do you feel that? I mean, so that is one of the keys to longevity. Is it? Have you seen
yeah.
that? Like, these? Have you seen any of the research they've done? Like, they've been some, like, there's a Netflix series on like how to live to 100. Have you seen
Yes,
any?
I haven't seen them, but I'm aware of that. The fact that love and belonging, feeling
Yeah,
like
that's
you belong, that you're not isolated away from the tribe. That
yeah,
helps with longevity. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And I think also for those, I mean, a lot of our regular, members at the Hamlin Vision and people who come to our events or watch our, our content, most of them will appreciate that, that the physical exercise, or a healthy dimension to the physical body, the physical life, is really
yeah.
key. And some of the greatest, in fact, Hamlin, so our kind of founder, Henry Hamlin. I mean, he lived a very clean life. I think he ate very well. He exercised, he walked all the time, um, and so he was very aware that that component of a physical life is very important for a spiritual life and an emotional life and a mental life. So I think it's really important to to reiterate that, but also for our kind of like regular membership, something like CrossFit would probably be very different, very, very much different to what type of exercise most people would
Yeah.
usually do. But I mean, for me personally, and it's not, I mean, it isn't right for everybody, but for me personally, it was really important for my well-being, to lose weight and to get a bit fitter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just have never seen these types of results from anything else, because it's just too kind of like paddling. It's like in the paddling pool.
I think one of the things is that when you're getting stronger,
Mm,
um, helps you to lose weight faster because your body's metabolism is increased,
mm.
so you lose fat faster, and then you can keep weight off more easily,
Yes,
because your metabolism is doing this and going up.
yes, yes.
You're putting on muscle mass, which is good at any age, but
Mm.
definitely in like life. Um, it's yeah,
But I think that's really key, because I remember when, in my teens and even like up to age 25, um, I didn't put on weight, because my metabolism, it was just burning it off like it does for
yeah,
lots of young people. Whatever you eat, your body burns it.
yeah.
And
Because
so,
you're active and your body and muscle's really expensive, and
yes, yeah,
it takes a lot of calories to maintain muscle. So if you want to eat more food, you learn how to build muscle.
yes, yes, yes. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I sort of knew that. I think I realized that what I needed to do was restart my metabolism,
Yeah.
and like correct it. And I thought, well, this is probably the most effective way. So it's definitely done that for me. So
Do you want to
a
know?
lot.
Do you want to sort of how CrossFit came about? A little bit about
Yes,
that.
yeah, yeah. Tell us about that.
The guy who started it was sort of training people in the 80s. He was a personal trainer,
Right,
um, and a lot of his clients were just paramedics, policemen, mums, sort of people who needed to be picking up things but didn't need to be like bodybuilders,
right,
and they just needed to be fit for life.
yeah,
And he started training them using a combination of his bodyweight exercises, his gymnastics background, and combining some weightlifting in there as well.
right,
Found that it was like he could outlift his cyclist friends, um, and he could outrun his gymnastic friends who weren't very conditioned.
Yeah.
But he was all round. He was all round fitter, and people started cottoning onto it, and they thought, well, this is really good. And then eventually, he was asked by the local police station to go and train their staff,
Right.
and that was how it grew. And then he started. He was like, right, well, I need a bigger gym. He was just training people out of this garage.
Right.
And he took it, and then he started taking on. And then he was like, well, maybe if I'm doing this, and all these people in this area needs, this kind of training, maybe more people out there need to do it. And so that was how he came up with CrossFit.com. And he thought, well, I'm just going to post all the workouts that I do every day that I give all my clients online, and I'm just going to share it. And then he was like, well, okay, then maybe we need to show people how to do these exercises and how to do. Then everything came out of it, and then they were like, right, well, and then another person approached him and said, oh, can I say I'm a CrossFit gym? And he was like, oh yeah. And then they affiliated to CrossFit, and then and then they essentially they licensed the CrossFit name.
Yes.
And that was how it grew. And they was like, right, well, we better train people. We better teach them how to do it. We better run competitions. And then it's just exploded over the last 20 years.
Yes.
There's about 15,000 gyms now.
Around
Whereas
the
in 2003, there was like two. It was three or four gyms. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. That is incredible, isn't it? Yeah. That happens sometimes, doesn't it, in the world, that sometimes something just, it's of the moment.
Oh yeah.
It just takes off.
Primed. People were looking for those answers, and CrossFit just provided the solution, and they did it really, really well. And all the training and everything that so they hold their coaches to a very high standard. So they make sure you limit the risk of injury, you learn how to move well, you concentrate on the basics, and what you're doing in the gym when you come in is literally from CrossFit headquarters. That is what they say a CrossFit gym needs to do. So it's really good. So
that's brilliant. So maybe just to finish then, I wonder if you could just say a little something about, because I know you've got tons of experience of this from your clients, from the people who come to a little bit about the connection between exercise and feeling good, like mental well-being, emotional brightness. Most of us have experienced that feeling. I know I do almost every time, of thinking, oh, I don't want to go, I can't do. You drag yourself there, and then you exercise for an hour, you come out and everything looks different, you feel different, the world seems brighter. So what would you say about that connection between exercise and just feeling good, mental health?
Well, to summarize, you are one workout away from feeling better. Because isn't it funny how sometimes the world feels very scary and all bad things are happening, and we're very down ourselves and all this kind of stuff, not where we want to be, and then we just go and do a workout and we just get moving, and all of a sudden we completely forget about all the stuff that was on our mind. Afterwards, you've done the workout, you're feeling completely different, and then you approach all of the challenges that you've got in your life completely differently. Positive attitude, the solutions just sort of present themselves, they seem obvious, whereas before they just didn't. And that is the one of the best reasons to exercise, possibly the main reason why we should be training and pushing ourselves on a regular basis, because regularly we want to feel good.
I think right. Yeah. I think that's a really important point, because of course I was thinking then, well, and your body's getting the benefit, and your body's becoming fitter.
The body's kind of secondary, actually.
Yes, but I like that. Yeah, that actually the main reason is so that we can feel good, and be lifted. And you're right. I think we think differently. It's like it is actually like meditation, because we can have a similar effect. We can feel kind of crowded in by our problems. Like we're having to fend everything off, or it's crushing us down, and then we can sit, in peaceful quiet, and just start to sort of listen to the silence, and realize that there's this sort of endless, abundance of emptiness all around us that we can fill with anything. And soon, if people can kind of be still enough for long enough, they realize that that's everywhere. That space, that spaciousness is everywhere. And that too we can come out of that with a completely different mindset. I think what's really important to say about the exercise is what we were just saying, is that you can have that. Plus the bonus is your body's healthier, your heart is healthier, your blood, everything, your movement, your ability. So it's got this sort of very real world practical result as well.
100%. Yeah, 100%. The research is enormously positive with regards to exercise on the brain, the impact of it. There's a thing called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is released as a hormone that's released when we exercise, and that helps stimulate more neurons and your memory, so that when you're exercising, you're more likely then to be able to retain information, take on new skills. And they showed it in some really interesting studies. There's a book, so where I'm referencing this from is a book called Spark by John Ratey, and it's for a future reference if you need it. And they had these kids that they were incredibly remarkable as a group in terms of their maths and engineering scores. So stuff that you have to understand, complex theories that you need to be able to retain. And there was this one place in America that was really, really good. This one county, I think it was. And they were far ahead of kids in Singapore and China, which is amazing. And it was to do with their PE program. Was what they did is they got these kids to exercise every day before lessons. So it was really simple. All they had to do was run a mile. I think there's actually a lot of primary schools that do that here actually now to help kids learn better. It's really compelling. Their schools are amazing. So there's a lot of benefit to exercising just because the increased blood flow is just good for it.
I mean, I do a lot of work on the computer, so after a while it can start to feel like your eyes can't focus. I come back from exercise and I can focus better. Like you say, make quicker decisions, absorb information quicker. It makes sense, right? The blood's moving, it's doing its job.
When I did the CrossFit Kids course, they were like, well, if you get kids training, then you send them to school. So a couple of times a week is get my boys in for a quick workout before they get the bus. Because it helps. So
definitely. Anyway, brilliant. Well, that's great. So if anyone who's listening to this who'd like to know more about Archie and the CrossFit gym in Chichester, take a look online. The website address Archie is
crossfitchichester.com. Or you can find, if you want to see what a session looks like, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram. So we're just CrossFit Chichester. You can just search for.
And there are loads of videos, and you can see kind of examples of the diet plans and people's results and stuff. So so check it out. It's really cool. And the whole team there are lovely and friendly. So thanks, Archie, for
no worries. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. I love talking about this stuff. It's great. So.
It's brilliant. So have a great day, and thanks again.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.